The Still Loading podcast is brought to you by the wonderful people on Patreon. Amazing people like Doug from the Nostalgia Marcanon podcast, Gilmer, Kevin from the Bit by Bit Foundation, Mike from the Old Switcheroo podcast, Parallax Puddles, Pib Extra, Melissa S., Ryan K., Sang H., Matt aka Stormageddon, Stephen P., and Mr. Biscuits have all been wonderful enough to support the show over there, so if you would also like to get your name read at the beginning of an episode, along with a bunch of other goodies, go over to patreon.com/stillloadingpod and check out everything it has to offer. On this episode of Still Loading, Elvis has left the building. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Still Loading podcast. I'm your host, Josh Koval, and today's episode, it is a Patreon topic. That's right. Back in January, I did a Patreon poll, and I put up a bunch of N64 games for my patrons to vote on. It was a very close call, though. It was actually a tie between this and Kirby 64. And this just won out. Kirby, what is it? Crystal Shards, I believe is the name of it. If I'm correct. Guest who I'm about to introduce. Am I correct with that name?
You are 100%.
Right. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And that wonderful voice that you just heard, well, not the titular. It's not, never mind. I'm already losing the thread of whatever kind of joke I was trying to make. The tit. That's just your new nickname from now on. No, returning to the show, triumphant return. It's been a minute since he's been on last. My good friend Jiggy from the YouTube channel Jiggylookback is here. Jiggy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Great to be back.
Glad to have you on. I mean, unfortunately, now you have a new nickname of the tit, but that's it,
The tits. Need a cool catchphrase.
I know, right? But yes, happy to have you back on, my friend. When I was trying to, when this game won the Patreon poll, I was like, who do I know who's just a N64 sicko? And you were the first person that popped in my head, so I figured I'd ask, and you were kind enough to agree. So thank you once again for coming on. Happy to have you back. So we're gonna talk about Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark 1, as I already said. We're going to talk about our personal history and recollection. And why don't we start off with you, Jiggy? Like, what's your personal history with Perfect Dark?
My personal history with Perfect Dark is probably fairly similar to my personal history with GoldenEye, as in, like, this is a game that definitely my parents did not get me because it was rated M and I was a younger N64 player.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely borrowed this from friends and played the heck out of it. And as a kid, I don't think I really understood what I was doing, though. Like, there's no way. I don't recall getting far in this game at all as a kid. Maybe Chicago tops.
Oh, that's really early. Wow.
Yeah, it's fairly early. I mean, it's one of those things where I would get in and play the first level and I didn't understand missions. It's just, I was a kid. I was probably like maybe 9 or 10 when this game was out, maybe tops, maybe not even, maybe even younger. Maybe like 7.
So this game, just to put it in context for the listeners, this game originally came out on May 22nd in the year 2000, and it came out a little over a month later in Europe on June 30th, 2000. As far as I know, it never released in Japan, unless maybe it got released on Switch Online in Japan, but I don't know if it did or not.
It did get released in Japan because the Japan box art is sick.
Oh, okay. So Wikipedia just does not have the release date for its Japanese release. That's all.
Yeah. Look up that box art. It's really cool. It's like dark red and black and just dope spy looking thing.
I'll have to check it out. But yeah, so sorry, continue with your recollections of Perfect Dark.
Yeah, so I would have been about 7, 8-ish, somewhere around there. yeah, this game it was hard. And now that I'm,
Mm-hmm.
in my 30s, my early 30s, went back and played this, and it was hard.
It's a really challenging game, man. It is a part of it. We'll get into the specifics, but it's the level design, I think, is what actually makes it the most challenging, and we'll get to that. But yeah, so
Mhm.
you didn't really play much as a kid then, just more recently.
Yeah, more recently, more as I got older, like teenager on. But yeah, as a kid, I didn't get to play this one too much. And when we played multiplayer, most of the time we jumped into GoldenEye. Like I feel like I spent more
Mm-hmm.
time in GoldenEye than Perfect Dark. Um, yeah, now as I'm older, I'm kind of more appreciative of Perfect Dark. I think it's more GoldenEye,
Yes, it
basically.
is. Yes, it is. For my own experience, I didn't have much prior to playing it for the show. This was what some of the Patreon polls are either games I either want to replay or it's like a game that has been something I've been really interested in for quite some time and just never got around to playing it. And Perfect Dark was kind of like that. Like, technically, this could have been on my backlog month poll as well because it was on my backlog until playing it for this episode. But like, I the most experience I had with it was I remember going over to a friend of a friend's house, and it was one of those friends. You ever go to over a friend's house, like you have like a really good friend, and then you go over to like a friend that they know, like their friend's house. So you're meeting one of your best friends for the first time, and this guy, it's what at least in my experience, a lot of times when that happened, they were like, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit, but I was always a goody two shoes growing up. So most of the times when I went over to friends of friends' houses, they were always a little bit more rambunctious than I was used to. Like this kid, his name was Steve, and I remember he swore a lot and he had a temper. And
Oh man.
he was a cranky man, a cranky child, a cranky teen. No, he wasn't really that cranky. He was nice enough. He was nice enough to me at least. But like I just remember, like he would swear and like I grew up in a really religious household. So when I would hear people talking about sex and he was one of them, like, what is this Satanism that is encroaching on my ears? Uh, uh, so my first recollections of Perfect Dark are kind of tied with Steve. Like I played this at this kid Steve's house, and the only thing I remember, there was two things I remember that I really did enjoy my first experience with it. One was there was like in King of the Hill in this game for multiplayer. Like my only experience was the multiplayer. I never got to experience the single player at all because this game is amazing for how much it really pushes the N64. So I didn't even get to experience like co-op single player, which wasn't really that common at the time on the N64
Right.
for FPS and stuff like that. So I didn't get any of that. I got to play King of the Hill in multiplayer, which King of the Hill in this game, the hill moves, which was like every like once someone captures it, and that was like the first time that I ever experienced something like that. I was used to King of the Hill where the hill stayed the same and you just had to guard this one spot over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
not in this one, it moved around. And then also you have, what's the weapon, it's like the far sight, I want to say the far sight weapon, or
Yeah,
something
the
like
like
that.
alien gun that's like a sniper X-ray thing.
Yeah, that you can like see through walls, shoot enemies
Yeah,
through walls. It's badass.
it is.
So that was pretty much my memories and recollections with this game. That was my only real experience with it. But I remember, like, I booted it up once I started collecting, and I got a copy of it, and I really liked the visuals of the game, and I still do. I'll spare, I'll save my thoughts more on the visuals when we get to talking about that in earnest. But I was really like, I loved the sci-fi elements of it, and then so I only really played a smidge of the first level, like I'm talking like 6-7 years ago when I picked up my copy of it. So I didn't really get much of experience with it there, and so I was in the mood for something like this. I wanted to see like what this game was all about, because like you have a sci-fi futuristic GoldenEye pretty much, and I'm like, I want to see where this game goes. Like I think the story seemed interesting to me based off like what I knew of the setup. And boy, howdy, was that not really the case. But we'll get to that. So yeah, that was my experience, though, man. I only really played it a bit at Steve's house. His nickname was Fireman Steve. I forget why. It sounds
Good
weird,
old
I know, but
Fireman Steve.
Fireman Steve. If my buddy Justin listens to this, he's going to co-host, original co-host of the show. Justin, it was his friend Steve's house. So if he ever listens to this, he's going to be like, I remember that guy.
I remember Fireman Steve.
Fireman Steve. I'm pretty sure that was Steve's also like AIM messenger handle. For those who remember AOL Instant Messenger. I'm pretty sure that was his AIM messenger handle was Fireman Steve as well. That is a throwback.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
That's cooler than mine.
Mine was just like, I don't know. Mine was like, I think it was like Random Dude or something like that. Cause that was when I first got Instant Messenger. That was when Family Guy was popular. And the idea of just like random bits of humor was like the thing amongst my friend group. So I thought, I'm like, well, I'll be a Random Dude 105 or whatever it was. And I don't even remember if it was 105. I just remember it was Random Dude. And now as an adult, I'm like, what a cringy fucking name. Like, Random Dude. What the fuck does that even mean?
Well, mine was Twilight Vortex. And I thought that was cool. It was supposed to be like a combination of like Twilight Zone and like, I don't know, space. I just thought it sounded like mysterious.
Dude, that sounds so much better than Random Dude.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty bad.
Twilight Vortex sounds kind of dope.
Especially when the movie Twilight came out. It's like, oh no.
Well, I mean, by that point, AIM was pretty much dead. So I think you were safe. Team Jacob. I think you were safe then. So all right, let's get into this though. So Perfect Dark is a first-person shooter developed by Rare Ltd, and that's another reason I actually asked you on this, because you are like the Rare aficionado that I know. Like your whole YouTube channel is like the name Jiggylookback is a reference to Banjo. So like I had to have you on to talk about this.
I got a big Rare logo right behind me.
If only my recording site had a camera that we could see each other. Save some bandwidth though. Anyway, so yes, it was developed by Rare, came out in 2000. The game was developed over the course of 2 years and 7 months. It was heavily influenced by Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, The X-Files, and alien conspiracy theories in general. Just general alien conspiracy theories. So all of them were kind of like those four things were like its biggest influence on its like overall themes and story and whatnot. It had a pretty tumultuous development cycle. About midway through the development in September 98, Martin Hollis, who was the lead developer on the game, had his 4-year contract end at Rare. And so because it had ended, he was like, well, I just spent all that time working on GoldenEye. I don't want to work on another FPS as much as I love Perfect Dark. I don't want to be like the FPS guy. So he quit. And in doing so, he ended up taking with him a whole bunch of other people, including David Doak, Steve Ellis, Carl Hilton, Graham Norgate, the composer. Grant Kirkhope ended up coming in to finish the composing on this. But like it was a lot of people left right around that time, and all of those wonderful people would go on to create Free Radicals, the development team, the developer Free Radicals, who made Time Splitters.
Mm-hmm.
So that splits off directly, no pun intended, splits off directly from this. And apparently he like, you know, Martin Hollis specifically wanted to finish the game, but he was working 80 hours a week and he wanted free time again. Very valid. That's exhausting. While it was in development, between all the different dev teams and everything, it had a couple of working titles. It started out as Covert Ops, but when aliens were introduced, as we kind of touched on a little bit, it was changed to Alien Intelligence. When aliens were introduced to the plot, it was changed to Alien Intelligence, and the final name actually came from a computer program. Did you hear about this at all, Jiggy?
No, this I don't know.
So the name came from, they basically had a database of like 200 words, and it would just spit out a combination of like two words. You know, it would just pick two random words and just spit it out. And the game ended up, Perfect Dark came out, and they were like, that sounds pretty cool. And so what they would do, actually, if the program spit out something they liked, they would then put it up on like a bulletin board for like 2 weeks. And if people weren't tired of it after 2 weeks, then they're like, all right, this is good, because we're not sick of it, even though it's been staring at us in the face for like 2 weeks. And that's how they came up with it. There's a couple
Sounds
other
as good a reason as any.
right. There's a couple other things. There's a couple other things that we can touch on as we go through the gameplay. The last thing I will say is some fun facts about Joanna Dark, our protagonist for the game. Joanna Dark is, they wanted to make a strong female protagonist for this game. I forget where they got the name from exactly, but there's been theories online that Joanna Dark is a playoff of Joan of Arc. And
yeah, I've heard this.
That's not true. David Doak basically just said flat out, like, no, that's not, we did not get the name Joanna Dark from Joan of Arc. But after we named her Joanna Dark, we were all like, oh, that sounds like Joan of Arc. So I don't know, when I hear that quote, that makes me just think, well, maybe it was kind of like in the back of their minds type of thing, and they didn't realize it. But either way, it was not a direct intention to have her name be similar to Joan of Arc. Joanna has multiple outfits throughout the game, and those are all inspired by different things that inspired the devs. Her main costume was directly inspired by Ghost in the Shell. She wears a leather outfit, which is inspired by the character Emma Peel from the British TV show The Avengers. Shout out to The Avengers, by the way. The Emma Peel was played, if I remember correctly, by Diana Rigg, who is Mrs. James Bond, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, Diana Rigg is the only woman to have ever technically married James Bond. She was married to James Bond in the movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service. She was also in Game of Thrones. I believe she plays, is it Olenna Tyrell, I want to say is the character's name?
Yes, the grandmother.
Yeah. Diana Rigg is fucking awesome. She was also in, that reminds me, I have to upload the episode tonight, because this is putting this recording at a specific time and place. My episode on the Great Muppet Caper for my Still Muppeting series on Patreon is due out in about 3 hours. So I better I better make sure it's all done and edited. Like, I have everything done. I just have to upload it. Anyway, so her leather outfit was inspired by Emma Peel, played by Diana Rigg in The Avengers. And then the dragon dress that you see towards the end of the game was literally lifted from a texture from Killer Instinct, the Tiger Shrine, the flags in the Tiger Shrine stage in Killer Instinct.
Gotta love those reused assets.
Oh, yeah. Now, and I want to give a quick shout out before I go through any more fun facts here. All of this information is from Wrestling with Gaming's YouTube channel. I want to make sure I credit the source, who did all the research and made a fantastic documentary on the making of Perfect Dark. So please go check out Wrestling with Gaming over on YouTube. He's been Yahel, the host of the channel, has been on the podcast before, so please go check out his stuff. He's awesome. The last two fun facts about Joanna Dark. One, her head was based off of Winona Ryder. Like, her face model is Winona Ryder, which I can very much see now that I know it.
100%.
And the voice actor who plays Joanna Dark is Evelyn Novakovic, who, I don't know if I pronounced her last name correct, but she was a composer at one of Rare's in-house composers at the time.
Oh, yeah, she was big. Donkey Kong Country 3, baby.
What was she in Donkey Kong Country 3? Or just did she work to the music?
She composed it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Side note, I don't know, maybe this is putting it too far forward, but for backlog month this year, Donkey Kong Country 2 is being covered, if you are interested.
Banger game, absolutely.
I'm excited for it. I haven't started playing it yet, but we'll get to it. So yeah, that is the fun facts that I have for right now. Some a little bit development history right off the top here. But there are some other things that can sprinkle in through the conversation, but let's get into the gameplay. I've been talking for a while, so I want to throw it over to you, Jiggy. Playing Perfect Dark and experience it, what's something that just like really stuck out to you? What are some of your thoughts about the gameplay in general? Yeah, feel free to talk about it.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna immediately gonna come out and say the craziest thing about this game.
Go for it.
The absolute craziest, I would say, forward thinking. I don't even know how they pulled this off. The AI in this game, and I know that's a taboo word, but back in the day, it just meant your enemies, essentially. Um, it's insane. It
Yeah.
adapts. It changes. I am one who beat this game on Perfect Agent, and I can tell you that a lot of the times when you're playing a game like an old school game like this, you're trying to progress through levels. A lot of it comes down to memorization. Like, oh, I turn the corner, there's an enemy here. Oh, I turn the corner, I hit this button, there's an enemy that shows up behind the wall. It's a lot of learning your routes
Mm-hmm.
and getting through it, right? Yeah, well, Perfect Dark, the reason why it's so difficult is because that flips on its head. You could play the same level 15 times and get a different result every single time. It's
Really?
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you. I had full parts of the level where I would go and like say at Area 51, for example, when you're infiltrating Area 51, I would go to the wall, blow it up, wait for the enemies to come out, and I've had enemies like come out from the wall, which is what I expect. I've had enemies die from the explosion on the wall, which is just great timing. And then I have those instances where enemies like come up from behind me, like come up the elevator, even though I've wiped out all the enemies in the room previously. Like the game just changes like every single time I
Wow.
played the level.
See, I played on I originally played on the medium difficulty, and then I had to tone it down to the easiest because this game is bullshit hard so quickly.
It
Uh,
is.
I'll be more specific in a moment. I'll let you finish, Jiggy. But I think maybe on the easiest difficulty there might be less variance in the AI because it was easier to predict for me what they were going to do.
Yeah, because I've played this through on I don't think I've ever actually played it on the easiest difficulty, but I've played it on the normal difficulty. I usually sit in that normal difficulty with games. But for some reason, I thought, hey, it'd be funny if I played this game on the hardest difficulty and streamed it. And so I did. But you can go see for yourself in one of my live streams. Just watch the Area 51 infiltration or rescue mission, whatever it's called. That mission in particular was when I first noticed it. But even the beginning levels, enemies would change routes. Different enemies would show up. They'd react differently.
Hmm.
Like you could do the same thing, you could time it out the same way, and somehow they'd react slightly different, and it would throw off your whole like mapped route in your mind. So there was no like same pattern repeat. It was just get good and hope for the best.
I could totally see that because I even remember like I forget which mission it was. It was not Area 51. Actually, it might have been a little bit of Area 51. You know what? I'm gonna have to. I have the mission list here in front of me. Yeah, I know. I think you're. Yeah, it was area. It was getting into Area 51. The infiltration level specifically was
Hmm.
like really in depth and everything. Because I believe Area 51, from what I remember, is the one where you start out in kind of like it's not really a desert, but it's kind of like a canyon almost, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what
You're
I
like
thought.
outside, and there's a bunch of structures and stuff, and snipers and
Yeah.
robots, and yeah.
But you are 100% right. The AI is super advanced in this game. Something that like really blew my mind in doing like research for this, because like I said, I don't remember much of the multiplayer, and I was telling Jiggy off mic, it's not like there's much of a chance I have to play multiplayer with friends. I actually don't have Switch Online currently, so I can't even play online there. Um, Assuming that it does work, I believe it does. But like I don't have time to invite a whole bunch of friends over to play an N64 game on like in my tiny ass game room. So but something that I looked up, like there's AI bots in this, as you know, as you saw in like The World's Not Enough and some other games, But what's really interesting is that you can choose the bot's personalities. Like you can choose if they're aggressive or defensive, or if they're vindictive, or like, so if like there's an element that Yahel brought up in his YouTube video that I didn't even realize was an option. There's like, if you choose the bot type to be revenge, if the bot's ally kills it, it will hunt down its own ally when it respawns.
It's awesome.
Isn't that amazing? Like that, it's
It's
just
so cool.
I normally you'd consider that like a bug or something like that, but no, like he's pissed. Like, you killed me, I'm coming to get you. I don't care if you're an ally. So, but that's an N64 first person shooter with like personalities coded into the bots, which are behaviors. It's not just generic, like run around and find, run to me and try to take me out. It's like they have a whole bunch of different personality options, which is really advanced for 2000 on the N64. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's those behaviors that just, it makes playing a game like this a real challenge in a good way.
Yes.
But yeah.
And something else they added to this, besides the AI just being like amazing, alt fire for the guns. Like, all the guns have alternative fires. I forget exactly how you activate it. I want to say you like hold B down. Like, you have to hold a button down to like switch firing types, but I forget which one it is.
It is B.
It is B. Okay, cool. That's what I thought. But I was just so surprised that it did that, right? Like, that's amazing. Like, that you could actually like, you could have a silencer on your pistol, or you could switch from like a rifle to a grenade launcher, stuff like that. Like, that was brand new to the game, and it was not there in the in GoldenEye or anything like that. Oh, you know what? And real quick before I forget, just because I'm looking at it in my notes and I forgot about it in the this would have fit in the game development section at the top of the episode. One of the cool things they were going to allow players to do with this game was you could have, they programmed it, like they actually completed the feature, but it didn't ship with the final product. They actually made a feature that allows you to use your Game Boy camera, take pictures with it, and then transfer it to the game, so you could like superimpose your like faces onto the enemies. And they scrapped it, and I think kind of smartly so, where they're like, well, we can't control whose faces they're going to put on there. So if we can't control that, and thinking about this back in the 90s, you're like, well, who would they have done? They would just, maybe they're friends just to be jokes, but with the way we see the internet now, God help us. Holy shit. That was a smart choice. That was very wise not to give people that power.
Listen, it would have taken me and my little kid brain approximately 25 seconds to be like, I'm going to take a picture of my butt. It's going to be the face. It would be hilarious.
You just see a bunch of cheeks walking around.
It's butt faced. The ultimate enemy.
Either that, or it's like, like a friend's butt, or like your parents' butt when they're not looking, type of thing. Like, you imagine like letting your friend borrow it, or imagine like you were borrowing your friend's copy, and then you take a picture of like your butt, and then the cartridge goes back to your friend. They're like, what is this?
Yeah, they wouldn't notice it for a long time until going back to it, and they'd be like, wait a second, what?
That you ever hear those emotional stories that you see online, how like a kid will talk about how, like, you ever see that one where it was like a racing game, it was like a Forza game or whatever, and there's like, when you do time trials, they have like a ghost version of the best time, so what you're racing against, type of thing. And there was one where this kid's dad had the record, but his dad passed away, and so he would race against that like time trial ghost to remind him of his dad. And now I'm picturing this like years later, like you're going back to a game, and the only thing you have to remember your dad by is a butt on a face. Like, it just you have the sweet version of that, and then Perfect Dark would have ruined every moment of it.
Be like, listen, my dad's passed, and if that were the case, I would be playing that all the time. I think that'd be hilarious.
And just run around with a butt face. Why do you leave this on here, Jiggy? It's my dad's butt.
Don't ever touch it.
Don't touch my dad's butt. This conversation went places I was not expecting.
It usually does.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. So sorry, I cut you off though. Is there any? What are some of your other thoughts about the gameplay?
Well, I love that you brought up the secondary shot because I think that's huge, and it's not always just even a shot. Like sometimes it's just like a useful like tool variant of the weapon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I love that. I love that option, and I also like that this game is also sort of. Whereas in GoldenEye, I felt like it was very like run and gun. Like you get in there and like sure there's strategy to it and stuff, but in Perfect Dark there is the option to be stealthy. It feels
Yes.
like there's a more of a precedence to be stealthy. Like get around these enemies, um, take them out before they see you, and there's just a little bit more emphasis on that. And while this is a thing in James Bond games, I just love the aspect of completing specific missions.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like get to the end. It's not like defeat these enemies and get to the end of the level. It is find this computer, hack into it, get these special sunglasses, and then like go find a secret tunnel. Like it's just a lot of interesting mission aspects and quests, and I love it. It's cool.
There's a lot more variety to the mission structure. Absolutely. And I do think overall that works really well, though there are some times where I'm like, some of these missions I despise with a burning passion. Um, and I guess actually, like for example, one of them for a long while was I didn't like Chicago, like the first level of
Mm.
Chicago. I could not stand the stealth section of it because it was like there was just so much working against me at the time with it. Though I like the overall aesthetic of it for damn sure. Um,
You know what's interesting about that too
mm,
is because the different variation of difficulty, each one has like different missions. So you'll get like two missions with the easy mode, you get like three or four missions with the middle mode, and then you get like six or seven missions with the perfect dark, perfect agent mode.
yes.
So you get there's so in actuality to get the full perfect dark experience, you do have to play it on perfect agent mode. Otherwise, you're not fully doing every single aspect of the missions that you get in the game. Not that they're all great, but you know.
Yeah, and that's very true because the levels a lot of times will feel more empty than they actually are because there's sections of the level that are there just for when you play in the hardest difficulty because there's an objective over there or something like that.
Exactly.
Specifically, playing on the easiest difficulty, the level that suffered from this the most was Crash Site. Crash Site is a fucking huge level, dude. It is gigantic. It's way
It
too
is.
goddamn big. It's way too. And on the other hand, as much as like I didn't like Chicago, I loved how like small and self-contained the level was. And there was so many like layers to the level to explore and look around. I thought that was awesome. As much as I didn't like the stealth part of it and it really frustrated me and I died way too fucking often on it, it was still really like there was a lot of things to like about it. But like Crash Site, while it was easier and I didn't die nearly as much, I spent so long just trying to figure out where the fuck I was supposed to go because
Yeah.
it's not a perfect transition, but one of my biggest complaints with this game, and it's more of a symptom of the fact that it's like it's on the N64, it's an old FPS, and then FPS design was still, they're still figuring shit out, like whether it's on the N64 or otherwise. The directions of like where to go are not very clear, and even how to complete some of the objectives are not very clear, and
Oh
that
yeah, not at all.
it's a little frustrating at times. Like to bring it back to that Chicago stealth mission, like one of the things is like create a diversion, and I'm like I don't understand what you mean create a like I can go around
Yeah.
shooting people, that's a diversion. But they mean for you to like blow up a car and then or something like that, and that's how you create the diversion. Though I believe in like the highest difficulty there's like one of like just blowing up a bunch of barrels and that creates a diversion or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a little confusing at times. That's honestly my biggest gripe with this game. It's not the fact that it's outrageously difficult. Like that's fine. You know, I can deal with outrageously difficult games even if they're very frustrating. But like making the levels be expansive and then not giving like any direction is really frustrating.
Yeah, it's kind of a I feel like it's a 90s like let's make the game harder cuz it can't be as long as we want it to be sort of a situation. Like, you
Yeah.
know how they always did that. They would pad games. It took us a while to sort of get out of that, and maybe that was just a consequence of technology at the time. But I it just makes me think of Earthworm Jim and how that game is like great, but it's like realistically the game could be like 2 hours, but they just pad it with difficulty, so it makes everything take way longer. And that's kind of how I feel about these old like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, more so Perfect Dark.
GoldenEye I don't
Um,
remember having nearly as much of an issue with. Like I don't know, Perfect Dark. Playing it for this, it was very frustrating. Now I will say, in kind of in relation to what you were saying, how like older games would pad out the games with difficulty, which you're 100% right. They did do that. Sometimes I just wonder, like, man, like, do I just don't have patience for shit anymore? Like, have I lost my patience that I can't just like play these really hard, challenging older games? Like, I just don't have the the fortitude anymore to like grind at a level over and over and over again. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm an adult now and I just don't, I don't want to waste my time or feel like I'm wasting my time or not. Um
well, I think there's something to that, but I also think maybe we're spoiled these days and that we've become accustomed to. I mean, there's some games that sort of capitalize on the grinding, like a Dark Souls type game.
yeah.
But then like those are few and far between. Like think about how many games are like quick satisfaction, like I'm not gonna say gotcha games, but gotcha games. Like you get in, you get some quick rewards and you get out. And like that's kind of like the patience tolerance of like people these days.
I think for me, what I've noticed is like I don't mind a super difficult game if I can keep my progress. I don't
Yeah.
that is where I've realizing that I draw the line, because like I'll play like Celeste and I fucking love Celeste, man. Like that game is amazing. It's outrageously difficult, but it's amazing. And but if you ask me to play a game, like Dark Souls or what was also something that I was playing Wolfenstein, Castle Wolfenstein, man. Like granted you can save wherever, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, excuse me. Granted you can save wherever you want, so it's not like a huge issue. Even on the original PC version, you can like save anywhere. But like starting a level over is just so infuriating. Like feel like losing the progress is what kills me more than the actual difficulty of the challenge itself.
Hmm.
Like that's really where it boils down to. It's just like when I feel like I've wasted my time. But anyway, I'm that's a conversation for that could be a whole episode, like a topic of like, have games gotten too easy and has that destroyed our attention spans? Or
Yeah.
well, let's be real, TikTok destroyed our attention span anyway.
TikTok. Yeah, 100% agree.
But
TikTok.
so yeah, with Perfect Dark though, my frustrations, those were my frustrations with like the way they kind of structure the missions. Something that isn't frustrating, at least for me though, is the overall level design. I like the level design quite a bit. All of the levels are super varied, very interesting. Visually, they're very distinct too,
Hmm.
which is really fun. Um, One of my favorites was the Carrington Villa, where like you start off outside a building, and then you have to take out the snipers on the roof, and then you're exploring this villa and like finding all the secrets inside of it. That one was really fun. I actually really liked the Area 51 infiltration mission, even though I was also really bad at that one too. um, Running around the Carrington Institute later on in the game was really fun. But each level is really well designed. Its only real downside to it is that because they design all the levels for the highest difficulty first and then remove objectives for easier difficulties, when you're exploring the game on the easier difficulties, you run into a lot of areas that are just dead ends and just seem void of content because there was content there, but they removed it. But other than that, I really like the level design in this.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And actually, all the ones you highlighted were probably the ones I would highlight too. I really like, as opposed to Area 51 infiltration, which I did like, but I liked the Area 51 rescue when you're actually in the building with all the different like laboratories and scientists, and it was fun to you break into that little area where they're basically testing Elvis on the little stretcher, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to like pretend you're a scientist and get close, and then they're like writing nonsense on the whiteboard, and they're like, "Oh, who are you?" And then you have to like chase him in there, and they'll like he'll try to like poison the room, and he like dumps all the poison gas like in that specific room that he's in and locks the door, and you're like, "Oh no!" Like it's great.
The cartoonish nature of the performances, which apparently like was a thing with, not that, I know Rare has some very cartoonish performances, but part of the reason is that they didn't want to hire voice actors. They liked to do it all in house. I don't know if that's a cost saving measure or more they just liked to do it in house. Like
I
it
think
was
it's
just a
both.
preference. Yeah, I feel like you're right. It's probably both. It was apparently the dude who did all the mocap, I forget his name, who did the mocap for GoldenEye, also tried to do the mocap for this, by the way, and then but he couldn't get the walk of Joanna Dark right. He was trying to like walk around in high heels in a mocap suit or whatever, and he's like, it just didn't look good. He's like, you will never see that footage. It's pretty fun. It's pretty funny. So I believe. I forget. You know what? Go watch Yahel's documentary on it. I'll include a link in the show notes. I think he says in the documentary who actually filled in for him, but that goofiness and like the animations and the voices, it was just all people in the Rare office in the UK, and the goofiness I generally think works. It has a very quirky charm to it. The goofiness does go a little bit too far, in my opinion, in this game, and I'll get to the reasons why when we talk about the story. But yeah, I got to save my thoughts for that. Any other thoughts on the levels, though, Jiggy?
Yeah, I'll just say that Rare does the classic like throw in Easter eggs in levels,
Mm-hmm.
and I love this game for it. It's one of those games. When you explore levels, you find stuff. I have a mysteries video, so I don't want to spoil too much, but I want to highlight just a few like basic things that are super cool. One is the fact that there is secret cheeses that you can find throughout the game.
Okay.
So, do you know about this?
No, actually,
Oh,
I
okay.
am ashamed I did not watch your secrets video.
Okay, well, it's totally worth it. The cheeses, there literally is cheese, like little 3D modeled cheeses in random places scattered throughout like every level in the game.
Huh.
You just go and you hunt for the cheeses. I know Chicago's got one. The very first level's got one. Yeah, they'll be in like little secret areas, and you just find the cheese. It's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just a fun little Easter egg thing they did. And then there's also a couple like really cool things. Probably my favorite like mystery from this game that's not solved, by the way. So if anybody can go in and like figure out what they actually intended with this or has some insight, that'd be cool. In the later part of the game, you can actually get. I'm trying to think of her name. The main like enemy lady.
Villainess,
Yeah,
almost.
the villainess Cassandra D.
Okay.
Yes, she drops her necklace, and you actually can pick it up, and you have it in your inventory
Oh.
like right after she sacrifices herself. But what's cool is when you highlight it in your inventory, it actually brings up a username and password. It says like it like flies across the screen. It says username, blah 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 blah, numbers, letters, right?
Hmm.
And back in the day, there was a website dedicated to Perfect Dark, and you could go on the Carrington Institute, and you could go on Datadyne, and so they believe that this username and password combo was intended to be used on that because there is a username and password system set up for each one for like an employee login. So this is
Oh.
probably some sort of scrapped idea that didn't get too far. But it's super interesting. You can go back on the Wayback Machine and like look up the Carrington Institute website and the Datadyne website and try the username and password, but they won't work. But it's really neat and it's a really cool idea and it makes you speculate and I just love that stuff.
I wonder if it was like an old school version of like bringing like kind of not emergent gameplay. That's not the right way. That's not the right term at all. If like basically enhancing the immersion for players. So you ever play Infamous Second Son?
Yes, I knew exactly where you were going with
Paper
this. The
Trail,
origami
right?
killer, yeah.
That was so. For those who don't know, Paper Trail
Super
was a
cool.
DLC in Infamous Second Son on the PS4, where what you would do is like you find this origami killer in the game, and for those who don't know about the Infamous series, you're a dude who has like superpowers. Pretty much, there's a lot more to it than that. I'm very much skimming over the like how the dude gets powers, but you do find out that people have different kinds of like elemental powers is too strong of a term. It's not like earth, wind, and fire or anything like that. But one dude has power with paper. And so he ends up like killing people and everything, and he leaves like these origami like trail. From what I remember, maybe he doesn't kill anyone. I don't quite remember, but he leaves these origami pieces everywhere, and so you have to track him down, and that's why it's called Paper Trail. But what was cool about it is that you would play through it, and then it would direct you to a website that you would like log in, and you would have to like you would use stuff like I think you find somebody's phone or you go to the Paper Trail website or like fake websites and you would use login credentials that you found in game on the website and it would give you clues as to what you needed to do in the game and you would link your PSN account to the website so it was able to keep track to see if you unlocked the correct thing in game. It was really amazing. So I
It
wonder
was.
if this was like kind of an early attempt at something similar to that. Like, they couldn't connect the N64 to the internet, at least not here in North America. But what if there was like additional lore or something like that, or maybe a secret way to unlock something, or it was going to unlock something in the game if you use that login credential, got like a secret, like a secret code or something like that, and then it unlocked something in the game. Like, people have dumped the game now, so I'm sure if there was anything like that, they would have found it. But like, I wonder
Yeah.
if it was something like that or if it was going to be something like that or if it was just concept art or like production stills or something like a way to get like secret bonus stuff. I don't know, but that's really cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's just one of those things you're like, oh man, it's just a cool detail to dive into and this game is filled with stuff like that. It's not just that one. I mean, that might be like the coolest thing, but there are other things that are really cool about this game. Mysteries.
Well, you will have to check out Jiggy's video over on his YouTube channel. I will have to include a link in the show notes. I sure as God hope that I remember to do that but when I'm editing this episode. So I'll have, maybe as I'm editing, I will act, because sometimes I'll forget to do it. I'll say, I'll put it in the show notes, and then I'm editing. And like right now we're still like, maybe we're almost we're about almost 50 minutes into the recording session. So I'm like, oh man, I still have like an hour left to edit or 45 minutes left to edit. I'll make sure to include it when I get to the end. And then by that time I forget what the link is. And so I just need to write it down as I go along. That's what it is. Y'all are hearing me think about editing in real time on the episode. It's so riveting. But Jiggy, I want to talk about the story now real quick. And
Okay.
what I'm going to do, and I normally I use this as like a supplement, not usually as a crutch. This time I'm not even going to fucking fake it. This is a whole goddamn crutch because this story in this game, I could not follow for the life of me. It made no goddamn sense while playing through it. And part of it was because like the voice acting, while I'm not, it was fine. It was bad in the sense that it wasn't anything like amazing, but like the mixing, at least on my N64, it was so hard to hear what anybody was saying. Did you have that experience at all? Like,
Yeah.
could you hear the dialogue at all?
I mean, yeah, but some of them are harder than others. Where, yeah, it's definitely not winning in the the audio mixing department as far as their voices. Plus, you've got the silly voices like Elvis himself, who's yeah, Joanna. Kind of like a really
Yep.
like obnoxious,
No.
over the top cartoony.
And so, listeners, spoiler alert for the story of this game. But I'll be honest. Okay, before I get into the story, and before I go to the spoilers, I will say this. One of my biggest disappointments with this game wasn't its difficulty. It wasn't some like frustrating level design or anything like that. It was the story. Because going into it, and this is purely my fault, I'm not going to blame the game entirely for this, but I went into this, when I first played the tiny bit of the single player I did, and like where you're a secret agent going into like the Carrington Institute, or no, you're from the Carrington Institute. You're going into Datadyne, and like you're getting like secret information from them. I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be like a sci-fi noir spy thriller. Like this sounds fucking awesome, and this game takes such a hard left turn so quickly, like 2 or 3 levels into the game, 2 or 3 missions in the game, because the plot of this game is that there's aliens trying to take over the world. But like it's just it curves so quickly into that I just was like so disappointed and crestfallen. That's the best way I can describe it. I was just so sad, but like wanting this spy thriller, and like because the visuals look super serious and gritty for for N64, at least gritty, and then to have the game be about an alien named fucking Elvis, and he looks like the cliche alien that you would see, like gray body, bulbous head. He's wearing a fucking swimsuit with an American flag on it at one point.
Yeah, America.
It's fucking stupid. It makes me so mad, Jiggy. I was so upset by this plot. So I say all that to say I didn't understand a goddamn thing of what happened with this. So I'm going to be straight up honest with you, listeners. I'm going to read the entire plot section from Wikipedia. The whole thing's going to be described here. I'm just going to read it straight through. Before I do, one last thing before we get into the full spoilers of this. Actually, 2 things. One is this game takes place in 2023, which I find kind of amusing. We're 3 years past that at this point. And as far as I know, oh wait, when was the invade Area 51 meme? Do you remember that? Like we're gonna run to Area 51.
That had to have been pre-pandemic, right?
No, I think that was like pandemic.
Was it? Yeah, where they were like, we're gonna Naruto run into Area 51.
Naruto run into Area 51. Let me see here. Hold on.
That's a great time.
Year 2019. That's when the origin on September 20th, 2019, the Storm Area 51 event. Okay, no, it was 2019. You're right. It was pre-Twitter. Damn, if that happened in 2023, I would lose my fucking shit. I didn't think it was going to, but like if that happened in 2023, I would have lost my shit because that would have been so fucking surreal to have that in this game. But yeah, the first thing is the plot takes place in 2023. And before I read it, the second thing, I wanted to throw it over to you quick. Jiggy. Just kind of like your overarching thoughts about this game's story and plot.
Okay, first I just want to say I think in 2023 was the first U.S. congressional hearing about UFOs, though.
Oh, there we go.
So, yeah,
this game predicted it.
There was some big stuff happening. My thoughts on the plot? I didn't think it was that bad. It just, I mean, it's silly. I don't know what to tell you. It's sort of a spy thriller with a huge sci-fi twist, and then I don't know. It's got some the stereotypical alien. It's got. I think I would have rather dove into like sort of mystery of aliens versus just straight up having them there. Like maybe you show one at the end or something. I don't know. It just feels a little not cheap, but like when all of a sudden there's tons of aliens everywhere, it sort of cheapens the idea that there's aliens.
Yeah, I'm with you on that very much.
They just don't feel as special. There's an entire race of aliens we don't even see, by the way, which those feel more special.
I also think though, I also think the fact that like the first I'm pretty sure the first alien you see is Elvis, right? Like you don't see the other aliens just yet. I'm pretty sure the first alien you see is Elvis. So the first one you see is that bulbous headed motherfucker. Like it looks so dumb. It's such a like it feels like, Twilight Zone from the 50s and 60s alien, which, back in the 50s and 60s that worked, but we've seen it so much now. It's just not like inventive to me. Like it felt, especially in like 2002, you had so many cooler things. Like the enemy aliens are a lot cooler looking. I'll give them that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
he looks exactly like Aleister Crowley's spirit guide.
Mr. Crowley, copyright strike. Anyway, but okay. So here is the plot straight off of Wikipedia. Like I said, in 2023, there is an interstellar war between two alien races. The Mayans, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the Mayans, who resemble the archetypal gray alien, and the Skadar, a reptile-like wicked creature, who are reptile-like wicked creatures who use a cloaking device to appear human. On Earth, there is an ongoing rivalry between two companies. The Carrington Institute, a research center founded by Daniel Carrington that secretly operates an espionage group in league with the Mayans, and Datadyne, a defense contractor corporation headed by Cassandra DeVries. In exchange for creating an AI with code-breaking abilities to access an ancient alien spacecraft at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, the Skadar agreed to supply Datadyne with enough alien technology to become the biggest corporation on Earth. I had no idea that's what the plot was.
Yeah.
I am reacting to this live, listeners. I had no idea any of that was happening. Like I knew about the gray aliens. I knew that Datadyne was for some reason working with the Skadars, the reptile things, or however you pronounce it. I had no idea that the AI person you are rescuing in the AI bot, Doctor What's His Nuts. I'll get his name in a second. In like the first mission or whatever, or that you're going to rescue. I had no idea that he was created by them to like hack into an alien spacecraft at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. That went right over my fucking head. So
it's I mean, let me defend you a little bit, because it's not really clear. You're not doing this having an overarching view of everything. You're basically going in and it's like, you're from the Carrington Institute, you're infiltrating Datadyne, and you sort of learn names as you go. But this overarching plot is just sort of uncovered as you keep going. Like, you learn about more and more aliens, and unless you are actually like paying attention to every single little thing in this game, it's easy to miss stuff. It's easy.
well, and it's hard to pay attention to every single thing in this game when on the N64 all the visuals are a little bit fuzzy. And I'm an N64 fan. I'm not saying that to knock the N64, but it's a reality of playing on the OG hardware. It's things are a little bit fuzzy, so it's hard to see what's happening at times.
Yeah.
So the synopsis continues. Joanna Dark is an agent of the Carrington Institute whose flawless scores and training have earned her the nickname Perfect Dark. On her first mission, she is sent to extract a defector known as Dr. Carroll from Datadyne Laboratory. Dr. Carroll is revealed to be the AI created by Datadyne and is worried about the mission for which it has been designed. After the extraction, Carrington is held captive at his private villa by Datadyne soldiers. When Joanna rescues him, she is informed that Dr. Carroll has been taken to a Datadyne front in Chicago. There, Joanna learns that Cassandra, NSA Director Trent Easton, and a mysterious man known as Mr. Blonde plan to kidnap the President of the United States to access a deep-sea research vessel called the Pelagic 2. Although the President is in danger, Carrington alerts Joanna that a Mayan craft was shot down near Area 51 and sends her to rescue a Mayan protector named Elvis. So just from that, so that's the first couple missions. Like seeing like that leads you up to like what they've described essentially in that paragraph is the first 3 missions of the game. Mission 4 is the infiltrate Area 51, if I'm remembering correctly, because first mission is the Datadyne Research Center, second mission is the Carrington Villa, third mission is Chicago. What I am confused by is why, if you were going to extract Dr. Carroll in the first mission, why the fuck does he need to be rescued 2 more times? Like, what? Like, I thought he came with me the last time in the first mission, but then it turns out fucking no, he wasn't. And then I wait, did he get captured at the end of the first mission again in the cutscenes? I forget that part.
Yes, he does get captured, and they ends up using him for the like alien ship, like he's like hacking into it. Not the Skidar, not the Mayans or Mayans, however you pronounce it. Which I'm not going to correct your pronunciations because I've listened to the dialogue in the game to try to remember the names and still mispronounce them. So
real quick side note, the end of the first mission at the Carrington Institute, she gets Dr. Carroll and jumps into a helicopter. I guess Dr. Carroll must have a backup or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, because she rescues him. Like, she gets him right off the bat. And then I guess somehow he gets captured again. Oh wait, no, it's in the Carrington Villa. So I think so. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm your listeners. Once again, you're listening to me learn the plot of this on like in real time. That's why I was confused. It wasn't Dr. Carroll being held captive. It's Carrington, the leader of the Carrington Institute, being held captive, and you have to go rescue him. So that's what it was. Then Dr. Carroll must have been captured in between, and that's when you have to go to Chicago. Okay, I'm understanding this now.
Yes, and then they use Dr. Carroll on the Keaton battle cruiser, and so that's the big like underwater alien ship
that you're going to. Yeah. So the next after you go into Area 51. And because the president of the I'm going back to Wikipedia, because the president of the United States refuses to loan Datadyne the Pelagic 2, the NSA sends a strike team to kill and replace him with a Datadyne grown clone. It sounds like fucking Agent Under Fire. I just covered that a month or 2 ago. The strike team invades the air base from which the Air Force One will depart. When Joanna foils this strike, the NSA and a group of cloaked Skidar take over the plane itself, which crashes after Joanna attempts to detach a craft attached to it. Having survived the crash, Joanna eliminates the president's clone and rescues the real president. Trent's incompetence angers Mr. Blonde, who kills him after disabling his cloaking device. With no other options, Datadyne hijacks the Pelagic 2 to reach the ancient spacecraft. However, unbeknownst to Datadyne, the spacecraft contains a powerful weapon capable of destroying a planet, and the Skidar intend to test it on Earth before using it against the Mayan homeworld. That also went right over my head. I had no idea why the fuck I was doing any of this. Just right over my head. The final paragraph here: Joanna and Elvis, the alien you rescue in Area 51, follow Datadyne to the ancient spacecraft where they find a reprogrammed Dr. Carroll, cracking the weapon. Joanna replaces its current personality with a backup of the original, and the restored Dr. Carroll sets the weapon to self-destruct. As Carrington and Joanna prepare for a presidential reception, the Skidar assault the Carrington Institute and capture Joanna. In space, aboard an alien spaceship on course to the Skidar homeworld, Joanna finds herself in a holding cell with Cassandra, who was one of the people who worked for Datadyne. Feeling that she has been used, Cassandra redeems herself by making a distraction and sacrificing herself, freeing Joanna and therefore giving her a chance for revenge. With the help of Elvis, Joanna takes control of the spaceship and lands on the Skidar homeworld, where she ultimately defeats the Skidar leader, leaving the Skidar in disarray. The game ends with Elvis and Joanna leaving the planet just prior to an orbital bombardment from the Mayan Navy. And that is the entire plot of this game. None of it was well broadcasted or made a lick of sense, but that's what it was. And And any comments that you have on the plot of this game, Jiggy, now that we've read through the whole thing?
How wild. It's like it's almost like it starts off as one, you think it's just going to be a spy game, and it's going to be company versus company, and then there's some conspiracy within the company. But then it's like that conspiracy just completely takes over the plot. And that conspiracy grows and grows and grows until finally it's like really not even about you. It's about these aliens. Like the focus, and can I just also add that you said it at the very beginning. This is Joanna Dark's first mission.
Oh, is it really her first mission?
It's I thought that's what it said.
Yeah, you're right. On her first mission, she's she has flawless training scores, test scores, and her first mission is to rescue Dr. Carroll from the Datadyne laboratory, and that's the first level. That also, side note, so the first mission is split up into 3 levels, and the third level in that first mission is the one that caused me to lower the difficulty, because you have to escape the Datadyne laboratory, and there's like a helicopter that's shooting at you and this and that. I was able to get around all that. I was able to figure it all out. But then you get up to the very top, and there's like 6 fucking bodyguards with shotguns. And like you have a second to think, but as soon as you shoot one, they all start blasting. And goddamn, that level hard.
Yeah, you have to turn off the lights.
No, they turn off by themselves. Like I don't have to do anything. They still shot the shit out of me. It was awful.
And you duck behind the stairs.
That's what I should have done.
I'm not even joking. That's what you do.
Yep, it was.
I had to do it like 5,000 times before I got it right.
Dude, it's so brutal. Like it was so challenging. And I also will say the final boss is really hard.
Actually, I'm going to push back at this, because if you know how to beat him, he's actually really easy. I
will only push back one slight thing, because I agree. Once you know how to beat him, it's really easy. It's not well broadcast. That's fine. But I didn't like the mechanic to beat him. It wasn't my favorite. Like I didn't understand how I was supposed to figure that out. But in all honesty, a game of this vintage, it's meant to be like guess, test, and revise until you figure it out. Like that's how you're supposed to play it. So I'm not going to knock the game for that. But the reason I do knock it is because it is like, spoiler alert for the final boss, y'all. There is you will never do any damage to it. You have to dodge its attacks and shoot at it until its shield goes down. And when its shield goes down, it stands in front of this altar thing. And then once you have got its shield down and standing in front of the altar, you shoot this like altar from like it's standing in front of, and you break off individual pieces of it, which ultimately will do the damage and take him down. The problem is it is so hard to aim at them because they're small. They're so fucking small. That's the only reason I push back on it, because like the thing that you need to do is easy, but the game's controls are not intuitive for it at all. Like you can't auto aim for it. The game lets you auto aim in every other difficulty. Well, maybe not the most difficult one. I don't know. But at least on easy, like it does not prepare you at all for that final boss fight at all. Like you need auto aim in this because you don't have full control of your weapon. Like the gun has limited control compared to what we're used to now with first person shooters, at least. And so trying to aim at those tiny little things is like you have to keep your thumb so fucking steady. It's really challenging.
Yeah, the thing is, explore the level a little bit more. This is a pro tip. Explore the level. Find weapons that are specifically like rocket launchers.
Okay.
So that's the trick. There is a specific weapon you can use, and you basically, he'll move to the side. He'll stand on either the right side or the left side of the altar. And when he looks at you to shoot at you, you just shoot your rocket launcher at him, and you can time it so he can't even attack you. And that immediately puts him in the state where he stands in front of the altar. And then when he stands in front of the altar, you just shoot at the middle of the altar, and it'll blow up and take out whatever piece is loose.
I was using just regular guns. That would have made it a lot easier.
Yeah, you just got to find the right weapon. And that's a reoccurring thing in Perfect Dark, I think, is just having the right weapon and being able to utilize it to its full extent. Because like there's certain levels that are so much easier if you have the far sight and you can like snipe enemies through walls.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's an entire level where you have to break the tanks that have the little skeetar in them or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember exactly the mission. I'm vaguely remembering it. But you can use the far sight, stand in this like totally safe area, and just like scan through the entire level and take out every tank from this one little spot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's super, super nice. Otherwise, you have to go in and fight like loads and loads of enemies.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like figuring out stuff like that and just bypassing the difficulty. Otherwise, it just gets insanely hard, even on the lighter difficulties.
Even on easy, man, there was a bunch of moments that were challenging. Easy basically just made it so I didn't die in like 3 hits. Uh,
Yeah.
it very much like, if you have not played this game before, listeners, I definitely recommend playing it on the easiest difficulty at first. Even for experienced players, man. Like I've played a lot of N64 growing up. Like GoldenEye and specifically The World Is Not Enough was my jam. But this was just like a whole nother level. I mean, and to be fair, maybe I'm just out of practice with it too. You know,
No,
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 no.
no, because I will tell you that this is playing through Perfect Dark on Perfect Agent is probably the single most difficult thing I've ever done in gaming. Like
Wow.
playing through this in its entirety was so difficult. And I'm playing Battletoads on NSO right now, and I'm just thinking like it's hard, but I'm thinking about how much harder Perfect Dark was, and I'm like, I got that, so I can do this no problem.
Both developed by Rare.
Both developed by Rare. That's right.
What's going on with that Rare, huh? Making some bullshit difficult games.
For sure, it's crazy, man.
Also, I actually tried playing Conker's Bad Fur Day somewhat recently, and that game's surprisingly difficult too, from what I remember. It's been a while since I played it though. Like I turned it on just to just to try it out again, and I was having a real
Yeah,
hard time with it.
yeah. I think there's some. I think that one's more of a there's random difficulty spikes.
Hmm.
Like I think overall the game is sort of like an intermediate difficulty. Like it's not like super difficult, but there's some spots in the game that are like just get up to like an 8 or a 9 in difficulty, and you're like, what the heck? Like the freaking zombies. Like right when you first encounter the zombies, like you have to know how to beat them, otherwise you're just like attacked and killed like over and over and over. The It's War chapter can be super super difficult and grindy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's moments where that game gets insanely difficult for just no reason.
I still need to play through that all at some point. But that's a
It's worth
conversation
it.
for a different day. Then maybe I'll have to have you back on for that one as well
Oh
if I ever talk
yeah,
about Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I know a lot about that one.
Um, but yeah, so like, well, that's good to know though. Like at least with this game, it wasn't just me. This game is ridiculously like unfairly difficult.
Yeah, it'll take anyone and break them down.
Good to know. Good to know. I thought it was just me and like me being a wimp or something like that. I was struggle busting real hard with it.
No, it's hard. It
Um,
is hard. I averaged probably every stream I did. So I streamed it for I don't know how many weeks on Perfect Agent. It took me like probably like 14, 15 weeks to beat it. So streaming every
wow.
Friday. Every Friday night I would play, and I would play for like 4 or 5 hours.
Jesus
And
Christ. Yeah.
I'd be lucky if I got through a mission.
I mean, if it's 4 to 5 hours and you did 14 to 15 streams, that's over 50 hours worth of game time.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
It was a
I don't
lot.
got time for that shit. No, thank you.
Yep. I did. I mean, the nights where I got like 2 missions beaten in one, I was like, "This is amazing! I'm I'm amazing!
I'm a god.
Yeah, a golden god."
Give me I'm a Farsight gun wielding god or whatever it's called, whatever that gun was called. Um all right, so if there's not much else I want to talk about the story, I like I said, I was very kind of underwhelmed by it. I found it kind of frustrating that like the whole gimmick was just like there's aliens trying to blow up the Earth. I'm like, what is this, Marvin the Martian? Like what's going on here? Just really kind of like underwhelmed me after like the first level. I was just so intrigued. I'm like, okay, what's this plot going to be? Like, oh, there's these secretive, like dark dealing companies with, fucking like espionage departments and shit. Like, this is awesome. Like, what's the story going to be like? And then it's just two different companies allied themselves with two separate alien races, and that's the plot. Like, I don't know.
Yep, that's the plot.
It's really kind of like underwhelming in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're playing this for the gameplay more than the plot.
Yeah. And at least for me, like to bring it back to the gameplay just for a moment before we go into like the aesthetics, visuals, music, overall aesthetics, that kind of stuff. I will say the gameplay I thought overall in this was pretty solid, but like it just didn't 100% always work for me. Maybe it was because like some of the difficulty really got under my skin. Other times it was just like either the difficulty got under my skin or there was just like levels were too long at times or too expansive. But for the most part, like, running around just shooting enemies was still fun, and being able to like have the variety between the Skadar. I'm watching Chicago right now, and there's invisible enemies, and that they were not even all that obnoxious. Like, I was actually very impressed by how like normally an invisible enemy like this in like an old game would be super obnoxious, but they really weren't that bad. And they have a great pacing with the levels. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I really do enjoy about this game's game design and its level design. But actually, in the way that the game design and the story are married a little bit, something else that was in Yahel's video on Wrestling with Gaming that really explains my issue with some of the levels in this, and really explains my issues with the stories, I should say. They designed the levels first and then would fit the story around the levels afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
So that is a very like that's an Uncharted style. That's like Naughty Dog, or like old school Naughty Dog style development. Because if you're playing like Uncharted 3, like there's levels in that game that don't make any sense for the plot, but they're really fun to play. And it's because they pick the set pieces they want for the game, and then try to find a way to fit the story around the set pieces. This one was like, let's just make a really fun level and then find a way to fit the story around the level. And that's kind of how a lot of this game ended up going, which is why I feel like some of it feels a little disjointed. Like Chicago is really cool, but then you go inside, the institute, like the Datadyne Institute in Chicago, and it feels like you're in a space station. It's really like,
yeah,
there's a little bit.
Yeah.
I still like it. Like, I think they did a good enough job with it, but it is a little disjointed because of that. But yeah, I found that kind of interesting that was how they designed the levels overall. How they planned out the story. They designed the levels first and then figured out the story around that, which is fine. Something else Yahel mentioned too in the development for this, there was very little overall oversight. There wasn't like a director necessarily saying this is our cohesive vision. It was just people making shit. And I'm amazed at how like the vibe I got off of his documentary. I don't know how accurate it actually is to real life, but the vibe I got off of it was that people were just making shit and they figured it out how to put it all together. Like, they knew they were making this like perfect dark alien game with an alien conspiracies, but a lot of the levels it was just kind of like, well, let's just see what we can do with this, and they figured it out afterwards. I don't know. It feels very mishmash, which just makes it once again all that more impressive what they were actually able to pull off. Not necessarily with the story, but with the gameplay, the new mechanics, the technical side of this is a pure marvel for the N64.
It doesn't sound too different than GoldenEye's development. I mean, obviously they had more of a structure of like the plot of GoldenEye, but they still they just play around with ideas and go from there, basically.
Okay.
It's very, very similar. And it's probably kind of true with a lot of Rare games. Like, how many Rare games started off as something else before they morphed into what they became?
I mean, even what is it, like you said, it was like that with GoldenEye. The multiplayer in GoldenEye was like that. It was an afterthought.
Yeah, exactly. And like like slappers, all slappers and stuff. Like all that stuff was just them playing around, goofing around, just having a good time, making a game, right?
Sometimes that's sometimes that's all you need, man. Like I know it's been said before a bunch of times, but Rare during this era was just something else, man. Like this has been talked ad nauseum, and not just in gaming podcasts, but on YouTube and like a myriad of different places. But like I was talking about to a coworker of mine today because I was telling him I was recording this episode tonight, and he's not a gamer or anything. He likes listening to me talk about games. Like he finds it interesting. But I was telling him about how, like, you know, if you think about it, like Rare's window of like its golden years, like from Donkey Kong Country up to like what the early 2000s, it really was only like 6 or 8 years, and they put out so many bangers in that 6 to 8 year span. It was less than 10 years. Like, you know, Donkey Kong Country came out in 94, and their buyout in Microsoft was like 2003 or 2. So it's like less than 10 years, and they just put out so many good games over the course of the 10 years.
Yeah, they really did. And the vast majority of them were on
Nintendo.
N64.
N64, yeah, N64. The only ones I can think of on the Super Nintendo prior were, you know, the DKC games and then Killer Instinct.
Yeah, there's a few Battletoad games there too, and the
Donkey
original
Kong
Battletoads on NES. Yeah, Donkey Kong Lands, Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
They were around, but it was really that N64 era that changed everything, and really, I think it was GoldenEye that really. I mean, Donkey Kong Country was the initial shift, but I think GoldenEye really set them up for success after that.
Yep, absolutely. Donkey Kong Country was the initial shift, and then GoldenEye set everything up after that. I'm with you on that. You're right, dude. You're definitely right. Goddamn, Rare just had like such a wild run of success in the 90s. It's crazy. Anyway, so to move on, we should unless you have any other final thoughts on gameplay or story, Jiggy, do you have anything else you would like to add that we haven't talked about yet before we go into like overall aesthetic and visuals and whatnot?
I will add that I did just realize that Perfect Dark Zero, the sequel on 360, is actually a prequel. So that first mission comment about Joanna Dark, it must be, it might have been the original case, but now it's
a lie.
It's a lie. It's not her first mission.
This game's lying to, or Wikipedia is lying to me. I don't know.
Yeah. And then also there was a canceled sequel. I mean, aside from the project that recently got canceled by Microsoft, which boo
Microsoft.
That sucked. But there was a canceled N64 sequel called Velvet Dark.
Oh, interesting.
Which followed Joanna's sister.
Oh yeah, in the co-op you can actually play as her. I believe. There's a lot of like unplayable characters that were like meant to be bigger in this story, but ended up not being. Once again, I'll shout out Yahel's documentary. He goes into that a little bit more.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the overall visuals and aesthetic. You know, we're talking about music, we're talking about the look and feel, the graphics, all that good stuff. You know what? I'll throw it over to you, Jiggy. I've been going on for quite some time, jibber jabber. I know you just gave some final thoughts on like gameplay and story and whatnot, but I feel like I've been going on still pretty long. So, what are your thoughts on like how the game looks, how the game sounds, all that good stuff?
Well, the first thing I noticed about this game, without even knowing who the composer is and what's happening, was that hey, this sounds like Banjo-Tooie. There's a lot of specifically. There's a lot of in like levels that sounded a little more Halo than it meant to be. But there's very much like in the Mayhem Temple target shootout in Banjo-Tooie, getting very specific here. There is a specific track. If you go listen to that track, it sounds so much like Perfect Dark and vice versa. So Grant Kirkhope was actively working on that project as well. So to come in and work on Perfect Dark, that's something I just immediately noticed. I'm like, okay, this is Kirkhope written all over it, you know, immediately. I love the soundtrack in this game. I think it's great. Like the windscreen when you complete a mission, very vividly stuck in my head. Um,
It's I can't quite hum it, but I know what you're talking about.
like it's like very like it's got like techno-y vibes, but it's very cool. And all the levels have a good ambiance to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single level feels like it should. Big open cave, sort of like a deep ambient, like yeah, temple-ish kind of music. I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it other than that, but yeah, it's cool. And then like the Character Institute, like sort of casual music. It really everything fits really well. I think the sound music wise is done really, really well.
I don't have much to add to at least the sound part. Like I've said many times, I have a hard time describing like my feelings about the music. Nothing really jumps out too much at me in terms of the soundtrack for this. And as I've said 1,000 times before, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the soundtrack fits exactly what the game is trying to do. It's very sci-fi, very 80s sci-fi. Like you get a lot of like Blade
Yes, 80s
Runner.
sci-fi.
You get a lot
Yeah.
of Blade Runner influences, both visually and also in the soundtrack. And it works really well. I do think like what you were saying about the mission complete screen is very memorable. You're right, and it's one of those things where I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think about it, until you mentioned. I'm like, oh, you're right. I can actually kind of hum that song, that little tune, that little ditty, and I didn't really think I could, but yeah, it's pretty memorable overall. Um, I think overall, the soundtrack is great at ambiance. It kind of reminds me, and I mean this as a compliment, a little bit of like the GoldenEye soundtrack, in that it's a lot of like the GoldenEye pause screen, even to an extent. The
Mm-hmm.
dun 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 dun, dun where it's almost like proto lo-fi beats, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. I liked what you said, 80s sci-fi. Like it's totally that. It's ambient.
Hmm.
It's not like a specific track. It's not like you pick out a specific track and a specific level. It's more like it fits really well with the theme of every level.
Yep. Yep.
So, and um visually for an N64 game, it looks pretty freaking good.
Oh my god, does it? Yeah.
Like, wow. And the frame rate suffers because of that,
Well,
for sure.
apparently if you turn the game off high res mode, there's less issues with frame rate.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do
the,
that.
the high res mode,
Expand.
it's weird because it's 640p by like 200 something p. Like it's weird. It's like they made everything wider but not taller. It's very strange.
Yeah, it supports widescreen, man.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's wild how they kind of do that. It's cool. Sorry, finish what you were saying about the visuals though. I cut you off.
Oh, I was just going to comment about how I think the environments look really, really good. And I think the characters are obviously very dated at this point.
Yes.
Like if you upres the environments, I'd be like, wow, these look fantastic. But the character models, yeah, they're definitely blocky N64. You played GoldenEye, you know how they look.
Hmm. I will say I think that's right on. Like the character models look really rough around the edges. Um, the overall, I would say that like the art direction is incredibly strong in this game, and it's not just because like the textures are really good for an N64 game. Like obviously now they're very dated, but like for an N64 game they're like really really good. But I think specifically like the color palette they chose for it, along with like the visual, like the visual designs, not just the fidelity, but the visual designs of everything are all so unique and varied. As I said at the beginning, like when we were talking about some of the level design, like each no two levels look the same, like they're all different, and it's
Hmm.
it's really amazing how like it's really amazing how good it looks. And when I was watching a long play while I've been watching a long play while we're recording, and something I'm even noticing too, like there's like lighting effects on your gun. Like it's minor, but it's something that like that's really impressive considering the N64 really didn't have the hardware compared to like PC or other stuff to like handle that kind of thing.
Right, right. It's the lighting is not something you particularly notice, but I wanted to back up a little bit just to what you said about the different environments, because the different environments are so distinct. Like you have Air Force One, which is inside of Air Force One. You're in the air, you're on a plane, and then all of a sudden you'll be crash landed, and it's like you're in this like winter, like ice area. Like I don't know where you are exactly. I can't remember where it is. Antarctica. I don't know.
Hmm.
You're just like crash landed in the snow, and then you're underground in an alien ship that's like completely foreign, and everything's green and sort of hieroglyphic-y. And then there's levels like Area 51 where it's like almost like a scientist laboratory, and there's vents you need to crawl in. And I don't know, there's such variety in the visual aspects of each level that even if they are using similar assets, I can't really tell. Like everything's so distinct.
I think that just once again lends to its overall its overall art direction, right? Like the art direction is very strong in this game. Like when they took the Blade Runner Ghost in the Shell influence, they really took it seriously, but they also kind of made it their own. I think part of that is like the visual fidelity can't, like the system literally cannot look exactly like Ghost in the Shell or Blade Runner or anything like that. But the other part is just like the way they design how the characters look, how like all the different like facilities look. uh I would say the closest they get to Blade Runner specifically is Chicago. Like that area, I love that area. Like as much as I did not like the mission, visually that area is so much fun to explore around and look around. There's like neon signs. There's like lots of light sources everywhere. It's just it. You feel like you're walking down like a neo futuristic city, and that's really impressive once again considering it's on the N fucking 64, something that like it 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 definitely could, obviously it render lots of 3D polygons, but like, you know, that's something I would expect to create that feeling more effectively now. The fact that I don't have nostalgia for this game. I played it for the first time, like really and earnestly for the first time for this episode, but I still got that like kind of like, sci-fi noir feeling from that level. It's just a testament to their overall visual, like their visual design and like their art direction. It's really incredible.
Yeah, even things like selecting in the menu. You have that little like spy device, and it's like a hologram like display meant to display in front of you,
Hmm.
and you're cycling through it. Like that's cool. Like those little touches are sprinkled out throughout the game. Like even on the walls, like going back to lighting, what you were saying, and like how you'll have like lights on the wall that will create like a lens flare effect in your view, and
Yeah.
it's like it's impressive. Like the details.
What was the one? There is a level that like really blew my mind with that specifically. I'm going to try to find it real quick. Like Chicago was one that I already referenced. It might have been it was Attack on the Ship. It was like Attack on the Ship. There's a lot of moments where like there's like lens flares from like lights on the side of this alien ship. It's really cool looking. It looks really good. It very much feels like an Alien inspiration in this level
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Like the ship has like kind of like those like it looks like the ship in Alien to an extent. Um, or maybe even the Star Wars a little bit, but like there's lens flares all over. Like in the long play I'm watching right now, Elvis is at the navigation room or the map room, getting like the navigation coordinates, and like every light in the hallway is just has some type of lens flare on it. It's really cool what they do in this game. Like the visually, this game is just so distinct and so unique. And as much as the graphics are, the fidelity of the graphics is pretty low, I think the art direction is so strong it kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's awesome. Um, I don't have much else to go into this on Jiggy. But, is there anything else you want to chat about before we get into final thoughts?
Um, just that this is a classic rare banger, and it's definitely worth a play.
I mean, so those are your final thoughts, and like
That's
it's just a
I
classic rare
yeah,
banger.
classic rare banger, and I love how it sort of connects to other rare games. Just the whole like structure of the Rare universe and the Elvis alien potentially connecting to the aliens in Banjo-Tooie. Kazooie even asks if their name is Elvis. I love that stuff.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
I would say for me, like with kind of going into the final thoughts then and like overall impressions, like I'm really happy to check this game off of my my to be played list, off my backlog. I do think this game is not quite as much as I overall like enjoyed it. Sort of like I'm very kind of like 50-50 on my enjoyment of this. I would say like, yeah, no, I say 60-40. 60 enjoy, 40 was kind of could leave it. Overall, I there's a lot to like about this game. I don't think it has aged particularly well, and I'm not talking about the visuals. I think GoldenEye is a slightly better game than this, and maybe that is a little bit of nostalgia talking, and also maybe it's also because I haven't played GoldenEye in quite some time. Maybe if I replay GoldenEye all the way through, I'll like replay and be like, oh wow, this isn't nearly as good as I remember it being. But at least for this, I found this game to be a little bit frustrating. The final boss I did not enjoy at all. I did not enjoy the story at all. And sometimes the level designs were a little bit frustrating and the difficulty was unfair. But I think the visual design is fantastic. I think the sound is really good. I think the overall gameplay, like regardless of my nitpicks, I think the overall gameplay is really solid. Like if you like any like N64 first person shooters, you're gonna like this game. It holds up really well in that regard. But I think unless you are like really into like game history or you really want to kind of see what the evolution of first person shooters is like and see how the genre has evolved, this game is going to be hard to go back to. There's a lot of things that are just tough to go back to with it. So my final thoughts are this is a really fun and interesting game, but it's also very flawed. I'm still happy I played it, but I think the hype around it felt a little bit overblown.
Well, I will say this. You could try your hand at there's another version of this specific game. There is a Xbox 360 remaster of Perfect Dark on the Xbox Arcade, and it does update gameplay and graphics.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe give that one a shot if you're more into modern shooters. For me, I think part of the draw is the difficulty and the challenge. Like playing this on Perfect Agent was an experience. And I think I enjoyed it, although it was obviously more frustrating and way harder on Perfect Agent. Playing through it that way gave me a new appreciation for this game.
Okay.
Because before that, I had only played it on the medium difficulty at best, if I even did that. But I'm pretty sure I did. That's what I did. But it's almost like an entirely new game. You notice all the AI details. You notice all the extra missions, all the extra areas that you get to go into that you never saw before. Like it feels like a different experience. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not gonna say it's worth it. Maybe if you did it on something like NSO where you had save states or something, or you could rewind potentially if you have a Switch 2. Because there are some games like Jet Force Gemini is another rare game that the completion, you have to collect all the tribals to complete the game. So like the aspect of completion in that game is such a slog that I would use the rewind function and the checkpoint saves, and that makes it so much more enjoyable than it did on the actual N64 hardware. And I feel like Perfect Dark might be a similar case where you could checkpoint if you're on a super difficult level and you reach a point in the level, you're like, okay, this is where I always struggle. You could checkpoint there, and not have to restart the level every single time.
Okay.
It is totally a different experience though.
Like,
and you could map the controls to the Pro controller if you wanted to, and kind of do dual sticks.
I didn't mind the controls for the most part in this, and I will say, at least in defense, I think you talking about the difficulty. I do. It just kind of makes me, to bring some, not levity. What's the word? To kind of reel back a little bit of my own thoughts. I would say to kind of pull back slightly. I will say the difficulty I don't think is unfair. I just didn't enjoy it, I think is the best way I can describe it. I think it's the game is honestly, they give you the tools to do it. It doesn't feel unfair. It was just one of those things. I don't know if I was enjoying enough to go through with the difficulty that it was.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah,
I would say those who like GoldenEye should give this a shot.
absolutely. This is like
Yeah,
GoldenEye on steroids, and I mean that as a compliment.
exactly.
And as much as I like GoldenEye more, being the James Bond fan and all that other stuff, I still think there's a lot to love about this game, and there's a lot of creativity that was poured into it. Like I think more than anything, as much as I have issues with some specifics too, I didn't touch on it in my final thoughts. This game is just a technical marvel. That really is, to me, its legacy. The what this game was able to do, something we didn't touch on as well. Now that I just think about it, and speaking of the technical marvel of it all, you needed to have the expansion pack to play this game. You could play a
Yeah.
really toned down version, like a very extremely limited version without it. But you could not play the game without the expansion pack, because it was so massive. Like there's so many things that this game does. It's just a technical it's a powerhouse for the N64. Like, it really is amazing what they did between the AI of the enemies, between even like the gun animations. The lighting is so much better than anything the N64 had prior. The textures are just amazing. The fact that it has a high res mode, like, there's just so many technically impressive things for a game of this vintage, for a game on the N64 specifically, like what it was able to do. It's awesome. Very much worth your time, especially if you're into retro gaming.
Yeah, and fun fact, I did an interview with Michael Kaywood, who was a former animator at Rare.
Mm.
And he worked on Dinosaur Planet, which became Star Fox Adventures, and he was like the lead animator on Cameo as well. And he did not work on Perfect Dark. However, the opening Rare logo of this game is his animation.
Oh, that's cool.
And he did it. They like made, basically they had a bunch of staff make a couple variations of the Rare logo, like as an intro, just, like a little stinger at the beginning, as Rare always did with all their games. And yeah, they sort of set it in a room and they picked his to put it in Perfect Dark. So he was like, "That's mine." And he's like, "The rest of the game, not mine."
That's still pretty cool, though.
But it is cool.
But
shout out to Michael Kaywood.
And you know what? I will also, in speaking with the thing of remembering having to put links in for everything, I will put a link to that in the show notes. Write it down on the list, Josh. Future editing, Josh. But yeah, man, I think that's a good place to wrap it up for this episode. This was a lot of fun, dude. Thank you so much for coming on to the show again. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, Jiggy. I love getting to chat with you, and it was fun to get to talk to you about this awesome game. So, to wrap up, why don't you just give a shout out to where the good people can find you online, what you would like to promote, and anything else you want to shout out?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first off, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And yeah, pretty much on YouTube. I mean, you can find me on all social media as Jiggylookback, all one word, JIGGYLOOKBACK. You know how to spell lookback. But yeah, YouTube is my main bread and butter. So go look it up, especially if you love classic Rare on the N64. That's sort of my main thing. Love talking about those games, exploring the lore, exploring how they connect to each other. It's a great time. And the N64, what a console. What a console. You can also find me over at Remember 64 podcast with my pal Dave, who has also been on the show.
Yes. In fact, if I'm remembering correctly, this is going to be holy shit. This is going to be so weird. So, Dave will be on for the last episode of Mario Month, which just came out, I want to say, either last week or 2 weeks ago. I have to look at my schedule. It's either the episode right before this or 2 episodes before this. And then he's going to be on the first episode of Punch a Nazi Month, which is the episode either right after this or 2 episodes after this. So you kind of have a little Remember 64 podcast sandwich going on here. You have Dave, then Jiggy, and then Dave again.
As it should be. I'm right in the middle.
Just how we like
the jelly.
The jelly for the Jiggy. No, all right, man. Thank you once again so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. As for myself, listeners, you can follow me on Blue Sky at stillloadingpodcast.com, on Instagram at stillloadingpod, on Twitch at stillloadingpod, where I stream whenever the hell I'm able to. Technically, I'm also on YouTube at stillloadingpodcast, I think is my YouTube handle. You know what? While we're talking about that, I'm going to double check so that way I'm not leading y'all down a straight path. Yeah, it's at stillloadingpodcast on YouTube. There's not much to the YouTube channel. It's just videos with the thumbnail, the picture thumbnail, and every now and then I've posted a reel on there here and there. But for the most part, it's pretty bare bones. It's nothing like Jiggy's channel, so go check out Jiggy's first. Anyway, that's where you can find me on social media. If you like the podcast and you want to support it, though, you can do so in a number of ways. And the easiest one is give it a 5-star rating and review on whichever podcasting app you use. It helps more people find the show, and it pleases the algorithm gods or something like that. There's also a Patreon, patreon.com/stillloadingpod. For only $1 a month, you get all the episodes a little bit earlier, as well as access to patron voting rights, which helped pick this episode. So you can also help pick future topics of the show to talk about. So if you would like to do that, please consider going over there, and you can help vote for future topics. For $3 a month, you get everything I mentioned at the $1 tier, plus patron shoutouts, which you heard at the beginning of this episode. For $4 a month, you get everything I mentioned the previous 2 tiers, plus 2 mini bonus episodes every single month. And for $5 a month, you get everything. You get all the previous tiers I mentioned, the shoutouts, the voting rights, the early access, the better audio quality, the bonus episodes, and you also get access to my monthly movie podcast, which right now is called Still Muppeting. It's the only Muppet movie podcast where me and my buddy Doug from the Nostalgia Mercanon podcast play the music, light the lights, and we talk about the Muppets on Still Muppeting tonight. And if the Muppets aren't your thing, I also covered all the James Bond movies and all the Fast and Furious movies. So there is a lot of content for you over at Patreon, patreon.com/stillloadingpod. That was a lot. Thank you all so much for listening. I appreciate you, Jiggy. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And with all that said, listeners, I will see you all next time. Elvis has left the building.